So the first week of the NFL wrapped up this weekend. And how did I do on predictions? Pretty good. I went 13-3 and I'm in the top of ESPN picks. I did not pick the Chargers because I was not expecting that. I didn't think the Chargers had it in them. My next bad pick was the Patriots. Maybe the Raiders are a little bit better than I think they are. And maybe the Patriots are a little bit overhyped. But honestly, these were two teams in similar spots for me. So honestly, could have gone either way. And the last game I got wrong, the Falcons. I wasn't entirely off base. They could have gotten a touchdown there, and they could have sent it to overtime if they had a kicker. But they don't, and the Buccaneers won like they were supposed to. But anyways, let's move on to week 2. First game of week 2, Commanders, Packers. That will be tonight when this video is uploaded. I mean, the Packers looked great on Sunday versus the Lions. I mean, they looked like the best team in the NFC. The Commanders, I mean, they beat a team they should have. They looked fine. They weren't really moving on all cylinders. But the Packers, that defense is crazy good. Shutting down the Lions like that, I mean, the Lions were missing their coordinators, so it kind of makes sense. Lions are getting a little bit used to their new offense. But the Packers definitely took advantage. And I'm going to pick the Packers versus the Commanders. Got a good feeling about the Packers this year. Next up, we have the Jaguars and Bengals. Now, the percentages say the Bengals are heavy favorites. Understandable. The Bengals, on paper, have the much better offense. However, looking at last week, yes, it was an AFC North team, but it was the Browns. The Browns aren't good, and they were giving up a lot of yards. And Joe Flacco threw 2 picks. Those were not his fault. Those were his receivers being really bad. Like, those were some of the most unlucky interceptions I've ever seen. On the Jaguars side of things, they dominated an opponent they should have. I mean, they still left some meat on the bone. The offense wasn't perfect, but the defense looks pretty good for the most part. I think they overperformed where I think that defense is, but I might say more about the Panthers offense than the Jaguars defense. But the Bengals defense did not look that good on what's supposed to be a pretty bad offense. I mean, they allowed only 16 points, but it's a little deceiving since the Browns don't have a kicker. And he missed a total of 4 points, a PAT and a field goal, which would have won the game. With that being said, I'm actually going to pick the upside and go with the Jaguars. The Bengals' slow start is going to cost them here. The Bengals, yes, by most accounts, should beat the Jaguars, but the Jaguars started out hot. The Bengals just looked cold. They don't look good, and for the past several years, they haven't looked good early in the season, and I think that continues this week. Next up, we have the New York Giants and Dallas Cowboys. The Giants looked pretty bad. Russell Wilson is not that guy, but I think it's a little too early to put Jackson Dart in. The Giants' schedule over the next few weeks is brutal, and to be honest, I wouldn't want a rookie losing confidence over the next few games, so it's probably better if Russell Wilson starts, even if they're not going to win games. It's probably better for future development. Cowboys, on the other hand, they actually could have beaten the Eagles on Thursday night. If CeeDee Lamb could catch anything after the break, yeah, they probably would have won, because he dropped a lot of big catches. So the Cowboys don't look bad. They lost to the Super Bowl champions, so Javonte Williams looks pretty solid. I actually think the Cowboys can easily take this game. I just don't have faith in Russell Wilson to score many points. Next up is the Chicago Bears and Detroit Lions. Both teams looking for their first win, and it is Ben Johnson facing against his former team. The Bears completely collapsed on Monday. It was inexcusable. But the Bears wouldn't put their foot on the throats of the Vikings. They just wouldn't score after halftime, and it cost them. The Lions, on the other hand, got dominated by the Packers. I mean, these teams, neither of them looked great week 1. So the 90-10% I think is a little deceiving. I think the Bears have a better chance than people think, but I'm going to side with the majority here, go with the Lions. I think the Lions are a better team. You know, I just like their overall offense a little bit better. I don't really have much faith in Caleb Williams. He was missing a lot of throws, a lot of easy ones, wide open throws. I mean, he does have the talent, but he needs to put it all together, man. The next matchup we have is the Rams and Titans. The Titans need a whole new roster. Cam Ward, I mean, he played decent. Like, it wasn't amazing of a debut. He did go up against a really tough defense in the Broncos, and they were putting him on the ground a lot, and his receivers couldn't hang on to anything. The Rams, on the other hand, have a very good defense. So I think it's going to be a lot of the same with the Titans. Call me genuinely surprised if the Titans pull this off, but the Rams with their defense, I don't think the Rams have to score more than 17 points to win this game. Next up, we have the Patriots and the Dolphins. This matchup is interesting because the Dolphins looked really bad against the Colts, who aren't expected to be a very good team. And I had a great call out against the Colts last week. Watch this. But in this game, I actually expect Daniel Jones to be decent. Good enough, because I think the Dolphins secondary is pretty bad, and I think he can tear them up. At least for 1 week, Daniel Jones will look good. Sometimes I hit bangers when it comes to predictions. On the other hand, the Patriots, they didn't really look that great when it comes to a Mike Vrabel coach team. They kind of didn't have that intensity. The Raiders did, and that's why the Raiders won. The Patriots, I think they take this one. The Dolphins looked really bad, and the vibes are down. The Patriots, I think they can come back from that. In my opinion, it was a 50-50 game. This is more of a 60-40 game for me, with the Patriots ahead. The next matchup we will be looking at is the 49ers and Saints. The Saints actually put up a pretty decent fight. They didn't look awful against the Cardinals, which is kind of surprising. Props to Kellen Moore. The 49ers looked really sloppy against the Seahawks, and these injuries are just piling up for the 49ers. What is up with their training staff? Why are these players all getting injured? A lot. Brock Purdy may not play this game. So this is actually kind of a close matchup because Mac Jones and Spencer Rattler is one of the matchups of all time. So this actually makes it a very difficult pick. On paper, yes, the 49ers are the better team, but without a quarterback, we saw how bad Mac Jones was last year. I don't know, man. This is a tough pick. Low key, I'm actually thinking the Saints here. But the 49ers still have CMC, and as long as Mac Jones can just hand it off to CMC and they can score a few touchdowns, they could win. All right, I'm going to give it to the 49ers. It's a toss-up. This is pretty much a 50-50 matchup. If CMC can take over, 49ers should win. But if the Saints defense can somehow hold him, they actually have a chance. The next matchup is the Bills and Jets. The Bills look really good. I mean, their defense did give up 40 points. But their offense, I mean, Josh Allen absolutely carried the team. The Jets, meanwhile, looked a lot better than most people thought they would. I mean, putting up 32 points is actually impressive. The Bills' defense are expected to be good, but then again, they did allow 40 points, so maybe the Jets can actually score quite a bit. But the Bills, yeah, they win this because the Jets' defense also allowed 34 points, and I think Josh Allen can put up that many. Next up, we got the Seahawks and Steelers. The Seahawks look really sloppy, and I'm not overall impressed with them. I mean, their defense did hold the 49ers to 17, but when it came to crunch time, they gave up a touchdown. So, you know, the Steelers, on the other hand, gave up a lot of points to the Jets. But hey, at least they won. This is a bit of a trap game because I actually think the Seahawks have a pretty good chance, even though the majority of people are picking the Steelers. So it would not surprise me if the Seahawks won, but I'm still picking the Steelers. Aaron Rodgers looks like prime Aaron Rodgers, and maybe he'll actually have a decent season this year. Next up is the Browns and Ravens, and that spread is insane. Negative 800 for the Ravens is crazy. I wonder what the actual spread is for this. Do not bet on the spread on this game for the Ravens. Even if you think the Ravens are going to win, do not bet on the spread. It is likely going to be a close game because AFC North games are always close. The Browns actually put up a pretty good fight against the Bengals. Then again, the Bengals always start slow. So do not be surprised if this is a close game. I'm still picking the Ravens though because the Ravens are the better team in every way, and I think they'll get their get-back game. I mean, the Bills are a tough opponent, but giving up a 2-score lead in 4 minutes is not ideal, you know? So you'd hope the Ravens would crush the Browns, but I'm not expecting that, you know? Starting off with the late afternoon slate, we have the Broncos and Colts. The Broncos dominated the Titans with their defense, but their offense did not look that good. The Colts, meanwhile, dominated the Dolphins in every way. It literally broke a lot of data sheets with how bad they beat the Dolphins. But I do believe the Colts highly overperformed the Dolphins. I don't think that's the type of team the Colts are. I do think they got a little bit lucky. I think they played up to their ceiling and the Dolphins played down to their floor. And that was kind of the result. The Broncos played to their floor against the Titans because that game was honestly kind of a disaster. Bo Nix did not look good against the Titans. I mean, the Titans are a decent defense, but they aren't exactly world beaters, and Bo Nix made them look like world beaters. But who knows, Bo Nix could look bad again this week. But I do expect the Broncos defense to hold Daniel Jones in check. Next up is the Panthers and Cardinals. Bryce Young looked not great against the Jaguars. And the Cardinals kind of were a little bit mediocre against the Saints. But the Cardinals are at home. The Panthers have a long travel time. And I like the Cardinals overall. I think the Cardinals have a better offense and better defense than the Panthers. Kyler Murray may be inconsistent, but he at least has a lot of high points. Bryce Young, what is his high point, really? Can he even reach that again? Maybe he can. Maybe he shows some improvement. Against the Jaguars, it did not look great. The Cardinals, I like what they did with Marvin Harrison this week. They actually got him involved. Yeah, you'd hope to see that from a top 5 pick. So I'm going to pick the Cardinals here. This may be also another close game. I do expect the Cardinals to eventually run away. I expect this to be like a 2-score game for the Cardinals. Next up, we got potentially the game of the week, a Super Bowl rematch with the Eagles and Chiefs. The Chiefs did not look that great against the Chargers, but they still only lost by 1 score. The Eagles looks pretty solid against the Cowboys. They also won by 1 score, but I think that says more about the Cowboys than the Eagles. Maybe the Chargers are a bit better than we think, but the Chiefs are missing their top 2 wide receivers. Their running game didn't look great, and I don't know if that defense can hold up. Maybe they can if Jalen Hurts does not throw to his top 2 receivers, which pissed a lot of people off in fantasy world. I'm going to go with the crowd here. I'm going to pick the Eagles. I think the Chiefs can very much start 0-2 here, and that would be a genuine surprise. I mean, their next few games are rather tough, so they could start 1-4 and be in absolute shambles by week 6. Next up, we got a Sunday night game with the Falcons and Vikings. Well, JJ McCarthy had a pretty crazy 4th quarter after doing nothing in the first 3 quarters. Can he do that in all 4 quarters? I sure hope so, but Michael Penix also looks pretty good against the Buccaneers, and he could have won that game if Younghoe Koo could make a kick. I mean, these 2 heartbreak franchises, they disappoint their fans in new ways. But in terms of the matchup, it's actually a tough pick. I mean, the Falcons looks pretty solid against the Bucs, who I expect to be a pretty good team. The Vikings turned it on in the 4th quarter, and their defense actually held up pretty well for most of the game until JJ McCarthy could wake up and drop 21 points in the 4th quarter. So this could be a rather exciting matchup for a Sunday night game. I sure hope it is, but I'm going to side with the Vikings here. I just like the overall team of the Vikings better than the Falcons, but I would not be surprised if the Falcons make this close or just outright win this. It's a toss-up for me personally. And then we have the first of 2 Monday night games. First is the Bucs and Texans. The Bucs played a really close divisional matchup with the Falcons, and honestly, kind of got bailed out at the end, like I've been complaining about the Falcons kicker. But Emeka Egbuka has really solidified himself in this offense. I mean, 2 touchdowns on his rookie debut is pretty crazy. And the fact that only 2 rookies have caught the game-winning touchdown pass in NFL history, and he's one of them, that's a pretty great start to an NFL career. The Texans, on the other hand, didn't score a touchdown. Yeah, this offensive line is garbage. And the Buccaneers have a pretty good defensive tackle there, and he could cause some serious damage. You would expect the Texans to maybe score a touchdown in this game, but they could also not. So I'm going to actually pick the Buccaneers here, even though the Texans are at home and favored. I'm just not convinced by the Texans. They did not look that great against the Rams, but their defense will probably keep them in this game though. And then we have the last matchup, the Chargers and the Raiders. Hey, maybe we weren't giving enough credit to the Chargers because that offensive line, despite not having Rashawn Slater, held up really well. And Justin Herbert looks like prime rookie Justin Herbert. He was throwing it all over using his legs. Like, where was this Justin Herbert? Did Greg Roman figure out how to use a passing offense? Maybe. And Quentin Johnson got hands all of a sudden. The Raiders, they played pretty tough under Pete Carroll. They didn't do a whole lot. I would hope to see more from Ashton Jeanty, but they did enough to get the win against the Patriots. This is a really tough divisional matchup because the Chargers are riding high. But divisional matchups can get weird, so, I could definitely see a world where the Raiders win this. However, I'm going to pick the Chargers here. Their defense held up pretty good against Kansas City, and I expect this offense to pretty much tear up this Raiders defense. But anyways, those are my picks for this week. What do you think? And let me know what your picks are in the comments section below. Anyway, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!